Do you have news?
Hey, how's it going, guys? TND coming back at you. I don't know about you guys, but I have this sudden urge to play a lot more of my Titan going forward this season, specifically a bubble Titan like Commander Zavala. And we're in luck because this season's artifact seems specifically designed to cater to the Void subclasses. Mods like Volatile Flow, Bricks from Beyond, Void Weapon Channeling, and Medieval Champions serve to make our builds even more powerful than they already were. But wait, that last mod isn't a Void mod, right? Well, that brings me to the first major ingredient in this recipe, which is the new exotic Void glaive, Vexcalibur. This thing is wholly unique compared to every other glaive in the game, and it pairs perfectly with Void Titans specifically. Its weapon perk Perpetual Loophole states that you deal additional damage while protected by an overshield. Defeating targets with melee final blows while an overshield is active will refresh it. And yes, that does work with the Void overshields created in the Titan subclass kit. Using the Bastion aspect, we're able to basically start any encounter with an overshield, and as long as we are killing enemies with our glaive, that thing ain't going away. But there are ways to make this loop even more consistent and more powerful at the same time. Vexcalibur's intrinsic trait says that blocking incoming damage with your glaive shield will refresh your overshields as well. You do need to be careful a bit as this shield drains very fast, so there's a bit of good timing involved there as well, but overall this weapon is amazing. It hits hard and it reloads really fast too. All this footage you're seeing is without any of the catalysts equipped as well, so this thing will only get even more powerful going forward. And while this gameplay loop is fun, I thought this guy would pair perfectly with another staple we're seeing a lot in players' arsenals this season, and that's using Void machine guns as basically hard-hitting primary weapons with their newly acquired buffs this season, as well as free volatile rounds from the artifact. Commemoration and corrective measure are both solid options, but my favorite one to use this season has been my crafted retrofit escapade with 4 times the charm and target lock. This thing can chew through larger enemies and can do the heavy lifting from range while you use your glaive to do damage from close up. Now what would really tie this thing all together would be an exotic armor piece that, I don't know, made machine guns even stronger than they are now. Well, guess what? It's time to dust off a real old Titan exotic that I have literally never used before, the Actium War Rig. Its exotic perk Auto-Loading Link says that it steadily reloads a portion of equipped auto rifles or machine guns magazines from reserves. Also something about airborne effectiveness, I don't know, not important. What this basically amounts to is 10% of your machine gun's magazine will refresh every 1.5 seconds. As you can see, the difference is night and day. With this thing on, you can shoot your machine gun for days without ever needing to worry about reloading. It's amazing. So let's get into our full build here, starting with our subclass. The other aspect we'll be using is offensive bulwark, which will buff us even more when we have our overshield. It's possible you'll want to go with controlled demolition here if you're watching this in a future season where we don't have volatile flow available, because you definitely want those volatile rounds cooking as much as possible. Our 3 fragments are going to be starvation for devour on orb pickup, pretty self-explanatory there, plus persistence to give us a full 15 seconds every time we have an overshield. Remember that your bastion barricade and glaive kills will reset this timer, so keeping near 100% overshield uptime is easier than you think. Finally, we have Echo of Undermining, giving us a 15% debuff to chuck at larger enemies before pumping hundreds of machine gun rounds into them. Our best bet in the kinetic slot will be an auto rifle, as Actium War Rig procs for those as well. I'm using a Rufus's Fury from the new raid that has rewind rounds, so needless to say, you're going to be shooting almost 100 rounds before even thinking about reloading here. You could also absolutely run double special here if you want, as that will give you more heavy drops overall. Like I said, your machine gun is basically a primary weapon in this build anyway. On screen you will see the full mod setup I have going. I'll also leave a dim link below if you want to check this one out. All I ask is that you leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel before you head out. It's greatly appreciated. The mods here are all about feeding into our Void weapons and abilities as much as we can. Void Siphon for more orbs, Heavy Ammo Finder, and Dynamo on our helmet for more super energy when we pop our barricade. Remember that weakened grenades stack with our bubbles, so those two are a deadly combo out on the battlefield. On our arms, I have Void Loader plus 1 firepower and 1 bolstering detonation to help with our barricade cooldown. My chest piece has 2 copies of Void Reserves, as well as charged up to give us 1 more armor charge stack. On my legs, I have 2 copies of Void Weapon Surge for even more pain, as well as one of my favorite mods, Recuperation, which gives a burst heal on orb pickup. Finally, on our class item, I have 2 Bomber mods, as well as 1 Reaper mod, which will allow us to get a free orb basically every kill after popping our barricade, allowing for this whole gameplay loop to be far more consistent. What I'm loving so much about this build is its flexibility to swap between those 2 styles seamlessly. Popping your barricade gets the party started, with the first glaive kill you get keeping the loop churning, as well as giving you a free orb which procs Devour and your weapon surges. From there, you're just slaying out, constantly refreshing those buffs as you move, and when it comes time to take out one of those bigger enemies, well, that's when you're going to want to pull out your gun and absolutely mow down everything in sight. It is an absolutely satisfying build that I plan on running a lot for the rest of this season. I have no doubt this build will make Commander Zavala very proud. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to catch all of my latest Destiny 2 content, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Happy hunting, Guardians.